Hello, welcome, good day, and welcome to episode 31 of my YouTube video series on property investments. And today we're going to talk about some key facts about the Singapore property market, or basically a Singapore property market update before we enter 2023. It's already November. We are approaching the year end. Holidays are coming soon. A lot of people are still on holiday, in fact. And I'm sure as we enter December, things will die down a little bit. So I hope to do this video now. And basically, yesterday in my agency ERA, we did there was a very good presentation done up, which I thought there was some good info to share with the people here, to share with my YouTube subscribers, that is quite I feel very meaningful insights on the Singapore property market, and this will give you some key ideas, some key themes entering the next year. Okay, so let's start this video with the usual introduction about myself.
Director of Alpha Marketing.
Speaking in Iskandar, Malaysia. So my name is Ryan. Nama saya Ryan.
6,000 incoming supply in Johor. This is
I am writing a thank you for attending today's presentation on Iskandar, Malaysia.
Okay, so my name is Ryan Khoo. I'm a Malaysian. I'm a Singapore PR. I've been in Singapore since 2009 for over 10 years now. I'm half Singaporean in that sense. My family, my wife is Singaporean. I have kids who are dual citizenship, Singapore and Malaysian. They will have to decide when they're 18. I'm a property investor. I have been a property investor since 2005. I've bought lots of real estate in Malaysia as well as in Singapore. I've made pots of gold. I made good money from real estate investing a few times in Malaysia, in Singapore as well. A good chunk of my real estate net worth is in Singapore and Malaysia, right? And today I'm a property agent in both Singapore and Malaysia as well. I talk about the real estate market quite often through my YouTube series and also on TikTok. I will link my TikTok in the YouTube channel later. And you have seen me written articles for media in Singapore and Malaysia, for The Edge, Edge Prop, Property Guru, iProperty, ST Property. I've done events as well. I'm most well known for pushing Iskandar Malaysia. I still talk about Iskandar Malaysia quite much. If you like Iskandar Malaysia, there's some topics in this video, in my video series as well. But today we're going to talk about Singapore. And there's been a lot of things going on in the Singapore market recently. I'm not going to talk about the other stuff which is probably covered in other media quite a fair bit, like successful new launches, the cooling measures. I did a video about that also. But I want to talk about, I think, some key insights that we enter 2023, some key statistics that are useful to people who monitor the Singapore property market, right? And of course, as per usual, this is not a full investment advice. Do make any investment decisions with proper financial advice, and do take note that some of the sources here are from ERA Project Marketing, from URA Alpha Marketing myself. And before you buy any property or make any investment decision, you should seek proper advice before committing. Okay, so the first point I want to highlight, which I felt was very important, is that actually supply from developer is still quite low. And if you look at the last low, which was basically in 2017, right? If you look at my mouse, I don't know if you can see my mouse. In 2017, about 15,000 units. We're pretty much about there, right? A lot of developers are able to sell their stock. They don't have a lot of stock on hand. So whatever developers have, which is unsold, very likely they will have to raise price, right? Or they can raise price because they've basically sold whatever that they can sell. So there's no reason for developer to throw price or give you discount right now. I mean, in all likelihood, developer is more likely to raise price because of things like interest rate. Their holding cost is also high. So developer are more likely to raise price rather than reduce price, because new launch supply from developer is quite low. Okay, for those of you who are looking to buy a new launch project, no reason for developer to cut price. In fact, likelihood it will go up in price, right? So this is point number one. Point number two, and it has been seen, right, especially in the past year, this year 2022 and 2021, that buyer demand for new launch has remained very strong. So if you look at this slide, yellow refers to number of units launched within the month. The blue teal bar refers to number of units sold during that month. And this is basically new launch sales, project sales, right? And you can see that in many cases, I generate 400%. That means for every unit sold, there have been 4 buyers from earlier stock. It could be stock from earlier months, launched earlier. But basically, there are more people buying new launch than their units that are being launched. Okay, so like 400%, 200%. So you can see the take-up rate is quite high, right? If you see more than 100% means whatever the developer put up is sold. Whatever the developer put up is sold. Or if they do not buy that unit, they could be buying a unit from previous launch, from last year, 2021 or 2020, right? They are clearing stock from that period also is included here. But basically what we're trying to say is that whatever is being launched in the market, or whatever new launch project still held by developer, balance unsold stock by developer, is being cleared, right? Developer are not finding a problem selling. They have been able to sell. Because older projects, those from 2021 or 2020, they have the advantage of lower land price. So when new launch today, if, let's say Amour Residential sells at 2,000, Lentor Modern sells at above 2,000, right? Those projects who sold 1 year, 2 years ago, maybe it's expensive, but today look cheap because their land price was cheaper. So they also can clear. They are happy, in fact, when the newer launches launch, because it justifies they themselves become look cheap. So what we're trying to say is that demand has been strong. There's a lot of people in Singapore with cash, or people who are cash rich, either through their income or through their investments. They have been able to buy the new launch price. So despite we say 2,000 per square foot expensive, there are definitely people out there who can afford to buy, and you can see in this slide over here, which is the reason why existing supply is low, right? Because basically people have been able to buy. Demand is strong for new launch, right? So if you are an existing property owner in Singapore, I think now is probably a good time to sell, right? There are a few reasons why. The first reason is that if you enter next year, 2023, there is a lot of units that TOP. Okay, there are a lot of units that TOP. This could be HDB, this could be private, okay, private residential. But basically in 2023, and in fact, if you look at 2024, 2025, I mean, the number is still pretty there. They are not low, right? 2023, you can see this slide, 87% more TOP units. And these units become your competition. They will be the one that may want to sell, right? They will also be a competition for rental, right? So basically, there's more competition for resale buyers next year. So if you have a unit now, one reason that you want to sell is because of this, because you want to avoid the competition coming in next year in 2023, right? That's important point. So if you have been an owner, you've been considering want to sell, don't want to sell, right? Is this the best time to sell? Recession is coming, possibly, right? One point that you should take note that if you don't sell now, next year there'll be a lot more competitor with you. Okay, so that's point, one important point to note. Next point is, if you look at 2023 onwards as well, the number of MOP flats shrink. So MOP flats are those HDB owners that have lived their 5-year minimum occupation period, their 5-year MOP. So when they complete their 5-year MOP, they can sell, they can sell and then buy or upgrade to a private condo. So in 2022, this was a record high. A lot of owners got their MOP this year, which is also the reason why property market also do well in the private condo segment, because a lot of people then sold the HDB upgrade to condo. But next year, 2023 onwards, the number of MOP owners shrink, right? Drop to half or less, right? This means there's a lesser group of people, lesser pool of people from the HDB upgraders. Okay, so the number of buyers from HDB upgrader also shrink. So you see, first slide, more unit for sale because they TOP, but number of buyer also shrink. So that's another reason why next year you will face more competition, right, from sellers and lesser number of buyers. So if you do have, like I said, if you do want to sell, one reason you want to sell now, try and catch a buyer now before this happens next year, you try to do it now. Now is probably one of the still a good time to sell, right? If you can, right? If you have still been hesitating whether to sell or not, right? Another reason, of course, that why you want to sell is that, of course, price has been on a high. new launch have pushed prices up. So the resale prices are also pulled up, right? So 49%, if you consider resale condo prices from 10 years ago to now, has almost gone up by half, right? So it's as good a time to sell because prices are good to sell, right? If you have a good reason to sell your condo, you have a need for money, or you think that you want to capitalize on a high point in the property market, right? This is as good a time to sell because prices are high now. And as I mentioned, there are some reasons in 2023 that will make it more difficult for you to sell next year, right? And again, because new condo launch from developer supply is low, right? Many people have been buying new condo. And the problem with new condo today is there's a ballot, right? Even if you want to buy, and we've seen this many times this year, even if you want to buy a new condo, sometimes you cannot get it, right? Because your ballot number is bad, you got a bad ballot number. So by the time it's your turn to buy, the unit you want is not there anymore. You're priced out of the balance units. So there are a lot of people who try to buy new condo but cannot buy. And because of that, they will consider resale, right? You have a better chance to sell to them, right? Because hey, you at least are available option, right? They want to buy new launch, you cannot. Okay, so again, take advantage of this situation in the new launch market where they may not be able to buy their new launch property, so they may consider resale and buy from you, right? So again, important reason to sell now, right? Or if you have something to sell, now is a good time to sell, right? You still have this window of opportunity. Okay, and one more reason is despite the recent cooling measures in the end of September, now it's roughly 1 month, right? Now it's really November, right? And those cooling measures, if you ask me, were fairly mild, right? The impact of that cooling measure to most buyers is probably they'll affect their budget by about 6%. I mean, the math has been done. So it impacts buyer budget by about 6%, which is not a very big impact. Okay, depends on your case-to-case basis, but 6% is not a very big impact. So if Singapore government feel that property prices are still too strong, we do not discount the possibility of another cooling measure, right? Another cooling measure is possible. Government may consider several factors. Number one is whether will there be a global recession or not. But there's still a lot of money flowing to Singapore, right? You can see that last year, this year, in fact, this year still, a lot of money is still flowing into Singapore. Government may be concerned that too much of this money enters the real estate market, and they may add another cooling measure to try and calm the property price. So if Singapore quite good at this, yeah. I mean, so many cooling measures, a lot of cooling measures, Singapore people are able to adapt to it, adjust to it, reset their expectations, and then go back buying. Okay, so if that happens again, and we continue to see Singapore prices inch up again in November, December, right? Maybe even early next year, Singapore government may throw in another cooling measure. So you do not want that to happen, right? If that happens and you want to sell, then jialat, because the buyer will then use it as a complaint reason why I don't want to buy or want to push your price. Okay, so don't take too long to sell. Another cooling measure is possible, right? It's possible. Okay. Another point that I feel that was quite important was the monitoring of land prices. I guess this is nothing new. It has been mentioned in several videos before. I think a lot of people talk about it as well. If you look at the land prices in Singapore, right, generally anything from 2-3 years ago, 2019 to 2020 up to this year, last year, right, prices are up, right? In fact, prices in the outer parts of Singapore, RCR, OCR are higher 30-40% now. In fact, CCR prices have been low, right, or relatively flat, right? So core central region, CCR basically refers to core central region, so places like Orchard Road, CBD area of Singapore, right? But partially one reason why CCR prices have been quite flat also because there have been no foreign buying or less foreign buying during the COVID period, although we do see some foreign buyer come back, right? If you go from an en bloc perspective, I think there are some en bloc prices in the CCR which are okay, right? Have gone up a little bit, but overall, if you compare the three areas, CCR, RCR, OCR, basically CCR has been the most flat in prices, right, in terms of land price. But generally speaking, land price in Singapore has picked up, right? We don't see, and with the tight new launch supply, we don't expect developer to sell cheap, right? All developer also going to sell at a certain high price, and I think for new launch today, the benchmark is $2,000 and above. Some cases will be 2003, right, or higher, right, depending on the land price. And there are some big launches coming soon that will probably come end of this year or early next year, I guess. For example, the one in the old Airport Road area and so Tampines as well, right? So these are big launches that we're waiting for land sales to happen and the developer to launch and prepare the product for sale. Okay, so another important point, if you are looking for good deals, if you are a buyer, right? Buyer today, why you buy? Say, Ryan, hey, I want to buy, but so expensive, should I buy or not? I mean, if you want to buy, normally buyers in today's market, they have a few reasons. Some the investors, they're putting money to hedge against inflation because property still is a good hedge against inflation. So they feel that if they have cash on hand and they leave it in the bank, they don't get a good return, right? They rather put the money in real estate as hedge against inflation. That's not wrong. Some people are buying for own stay because Singapore supply now very tight. There are a lot of people out there who want to buy property for own stay, for own use, because supply is very tight in Singapore. They find it ridiculous to pay rentals. You have situations like this. So there are still people with reasons to buy. But if you're looking for a good deal, right? If you look at this slide, which I think lists down a total of 1,522 units, okay, 1,522 unit across about 30 something projects here, right? Where they have an ABSD deadline, which means that by next year, 2023, right, or sometime next year, right? I mean, we don't specify which month or that. Sometime next year in 2023, the developer have to pay ABSD if they don't sell to the government, right, for the land that they bought, right? So the government, the developer, as much as possible, want to avoid to pay this ABSD because you don't want to give the government free money, right? So they will have to clear this stock. A lot of this stock, if you notice, are in district, in CCR, in the core central region. I won't go into detail, but a lot of this stock is in the core central region because core central region price haven't really do well. So if you try to get a good deal, these are the projects that have a chance to give you a good price because they don't want to pay ABSD next year. The developer don't pay ABSD. So let me see. So let me see. Some famous names are Amber Park, but Amber Park only left 13 units. Don't know. Probably can clear. We may get a good deal, but there are probably these 13 units are probably not so nice facing or very big units, possibly, right? Another one, Cascaden Reserve, but it's also quite expensive project in the first place. Don't know whether they'll give you good price or not. For at Bukit Timah, yeah. This one, freehold, very near the new integrated development. I think interesting. Key residences, 21 units, okay, not bad. Potentially something you can find there. Leiden Green, 148 units, right? So if you like this area, the developer got 140 units to clear next year. I don't know whether they can do it, right? So potential chance to get a good price at Leiden Green. Let me see, all this left one only. One Pearl Bank, yep, CapitaLand, 82 units. That's quite a lot of stock. They may have to do something to clear the units to avoid paying ABSD. One Pearl Bank, good location, definitely nice design. 82 units give you a good chance to bargain hunt there. Park Clematis, I don't know, 19 out of 1,004, difficult to get. Yeah, Landmark, Landmark also 192 units is also pretty much same problem as One Pearl Bank, right? They have a lot of units which they have to clear, right, to avoid paying ABSD. And these are where the good deals will be. And like I said, if you notice, a lot of them are in the CCR, right? And sometimes we start to ask ourselves question, if you're going to pay like over 2,000 per square foot in Ang Mo Kio, over 2,000 per square foot in Lentor, you might as well pay a little bit more and get CCR, right? And in some of these cases are freehold, much better location, right? And you just pay a little bit more, right? And these are where the good deals will be. And if you look at it next year, the good deals may even be better deals because, as I said, developer want to avoid ABSD and there'll be more problems next year that they may try to avoid. So this is another thing to take note. So I feel that these are a few key points to remember, right, from the presentation that ERA did yesterday, which I thought was quite interesting. And these were the highlights for me, which I felt is important to share with you. If you have any interest to find out more, we do project market all these projects, and I think these are interesting projects to look at. Another one is Gazania. Yeah, Gazania also, I think this, I just noticed Gazania, Avenue, all these are quite interesting projects. Good location. Gazania is freehold, yeah, and quite near MRT as well. These are all, potential good deals in the making, right? And you may start to see next year, or maybe even now, prices get very attractive for these kind of projects here in Singapore. Okay, so if you like what I had to share today, we do have, it's time of the year where I share our Singapore property market report, right? It is a physical copy. I think it's roughly about just under 20 pages. If you're interested to find out more details, And maybe if you go through the slides and the data, you may find some interesting information yourself. Please let me know. I will send you a physical copy myself. And I think these reports have a lot of detail which property investors will enjoy. If you're interested, do let me know. Drop me an email or WhatsApp, or I will send you a copy of this Singapore property market report, which will be, I think, as of Q3 this year. And if you like what I have to share in this video today, please like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also can find me on TikTok, or you can also join our mailing list to get more emails on news like this. So thank you very much, and hope to see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.